Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. We are 18 days away. I remember when it seems like yesterday we were counting 50, so it's crazy to think that we're 18. But, yesterday I put some pictures up there. We'll let y'all guess, let everybody guess out there. So we're going to do the same today.
That's my era right there, guys. That's my era. First round pick. First round pick. Just letting you know, San Diego Chargers.
All right, here's number 2 on my list.
You know that one. That's your neck of the woods, isn't it?
That's my neck. Hey, that's Bob Shipley's neck of the woods more than anything.
Bob's neck. Yep.
And then number 3 on the list right here. Current player.
Yep. I know who that is.
And then last but not least.
Oh, there we go.
Back a few years.
He's a public speaker these days, is he not?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell everybody. I see guests has come in. We'll start here at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Stanley Richards, a guy out of Hawkins, Texas. Same high school as Edwin Simmons, but a couple years later, this one turned out for the Longhorns really well. First round draft pick. Was on the team that went to the what was the name? I can't remember now. It was the 1990 Cotton Bowl team against Miami that lost. And I'm blacking out for some reason on the whatever it takes. That was the motto that year. Whatever it takes. Sorry about that.
I did forget one.
Seconds. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I forgot to put that one up.
I know who that is. That's a guy that's older than me and you combined. Now we saw him Super Bill Bradley. We saw him at the welcome to the SEC party, Jerry. You and I talked to him a little bit.
He used to be part of the Under Armour All-America game in camps when I was at ESPN. An unbelievably fun guy to just go have a beer with and hang out with. I'm just going to say that. Super Bill Bradley's one of a kind, man. Hell of a talent, one of a kind human being.
And then the next one, of course, was Kevin Vaccaro out of Brownwood, which is why Bobby said my neck of the woods. And then we have Leona LaFau.
But I tell you what, guys, got to say this. Devontae Davis, someone mentioned him. I got to say another number 18 on the Longhorns roster. Maybe getting more play today than he normally would. And that's because he might be moving to running back as of tomorrow or as of later today. The Longhorns practice again this evening, early this evening. I think they get at it around 7 o'clock and they'll practice till around 9. It is a follow-up practice from yesterday. And the reason why I mentioned number 18, that's Manny Acho, obviously. And it's Ryan Niblett. And he as a backup third string wide receiver at this point. But yesterday the Longhorns lost what we believe is for the year now, Christian Clark. We reported that there was an injury yesterday at practice, first and foremost. And I tell you what happened. It sounds like he was going out for a pass and came down on the wrong way. It was a non-contact injury. We're told that it is likely season ending. So our thoughts go out to young Christian Clark. This is the piece that really concerns us more than anything right now is what Texas is going to do at the big running back spot. I mean, look, Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner are there. You even add Ryan Niblett. He's not a bigger running back. He's going to be a smaller guy too, but at least gives you depth. The big running back spot right now is literally Jarrett Gibson and right now they tried Darian Gillette. Are they going to find another big running back? I mean, there's thoughts that maybe Juan Davis can be a little bit of a role player in that, Jerry. Maybe Darian Gillette makes it. Maybe they move somebody else over from defense like a Ty Anthony Smith. But man, it's thin in the backfield at the big running back spot. They're hurting there right now.
Yeah, no, somebody's asking about Matthew Golden. No, he's going to stay at wide receiver. He played Wildcat quarterback, especially senior year, because Jaden Blue did not play. They were on the same high school team. But I think Nye Black out of the backfield in the passing game, that actually makes a lot of sense. And he's got the undersized running back frame now. He's grown into that. I mean, he's 5'10 and a quarter, 5'10 and change, and 195-ish pounds, 195 pounds. I think he has some value out of the backfield.
You mean Niblett, not.
Sorry, Ryan Niblett. Sorry, I've just got off the practice field at Louisville High, if y'all are wondering. Yeah, Ryan Niblett. He has that ability out of the backfield. He played that in high school quite a bit, actually. So that one makes some sense for me. The big running back, look, if it's not Darren Gillette, I don't know. It's just that's going to be interesting to see what this staff does.
Tyrone
Swoops
is 18. Tyrone Swoops is 18. That's another good one that somebody mentioned. Deion Grant, the former Austin LBJ product, number 18. Some good 18s that we did not mention this morning as well, guys.
For sure. All right. Another big piece of news yesterday, obviously, besides the Christian Clark bad news, was that the AP poll came out yesterday, guys. And I want to jump over to that for a minute before we come back to Sark's presser. Texas ranked number 4, Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Alabama 5, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State close out your top 10. Y'all's thoughts?
My first thoughts are 9 of the top 20 are SEC teams. You can be in the lower half of the league. You can be in the lower half of the league and be in the top 20 in the country. Just the thought there. That means you might have a losing conference record and be a top 20 team.
Look, I will say this. Georgia won. I think CJ and I did a video on this yesterday. 2 of the last 20 teams to start the season ranked number 1 actually went on to win the national title. That's going to get tougher to do in a 12-team playoff and then 16. But if you look at Georgia, they play 4, 5, and 6 on the road, 3 of the best offensive minds in college football. Toughest road schedule Georgia's had. We've been over that. A&M schedule, what we care about too, right? The rivalry's back. They have the easiest schedule of all of the Texas, Oklahoma, and A&M, because they have Notre Dame at home. They have Texas at home. Missouri's at home. Ole Miss. All their ranked opponents are home games this year. That's a really good schedule. I think Texas has a really good schedule as well. Oklahoma does not. They do not. They have Texas neutral, Alabama at home. They're on the road at Missouri. Can you go back to that, Blake, real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Oklahoma has 6 games against teams ranked in the top 16. 3 of those are road games, 1 of those neutral Texas. That's a very difficult schedule. Jackson Arnold better play well. And that defense is going to have to be much improved for them on that schedule. Tough schedule.
Definitely. And actually, the graphic I was bringing up is number of ranked teams on schedule. This is Power 4 teams. Texas with 4, A&M with 4. As you said, Oklahoma with 6, Florida with 8, Arkansas and South Carolina with 7.
It's funny. Florida. I was at Louisville High for practice at 6 a.m. That's why I'm sitting in a Chick-fil-A parking lot doing this live stream this morning right by the school. And Michael Fasusi visited Florida that last weekend in July. He's really close with Joe Hamilton, a recruiting guy for Florida that was at A&M. And their pitch to him was, hey, if we go 5-0, you got to come here. And obviously he's committing August 21st. But hey, if we go 5-0 to start, you got to come here, Michael. And it was just kind of funny to hear that today because, boy, that's a tough schedule. They're up against it. Better win game 1, else the knives are going to be out in Gainesville.
5-0. If we go 5-0, you got to come here. What does that even mean?
That means they know they got a hellacious schedule. In the back end, you can't say that.
Yeah. Give us an update on Michael Fasusi overall while we're talking about it, because it's very topical. Obviously, you saw him this morning working out. What's the situation there?
Yeah, I think this is 6 a.m. practice. I love it. Hey, look, it's dark, but we got the lights on. We're rolling, man. This is like my old days as a kid. There's Fasusi, 77. He turned 17 July 12th. He's grown to 6'5" and a quarter without shoes is what Florida got him on at that visit late July. 303 pounds, 84-inch wingspan, 9.5-inch hands. His offensive line coach played at University of Houston and Texas Tech. Really good player, Okafor. Was blocked, was on that offensive line for Patrick Mahomes. But I still think Oklahoma, Texas, look, I think Oklahoma's been trending since the visits. I think this is a dogfight recruitment. I think Texas and OU are going at it. I think A&M's is not conceding anything. He talked to Fasusi, told me we'll have more with Fasusi later today. He told me he talked with Steve Sarkisian 2 days ago. He talked with Brent Venables 4 days ago. So every 2-3 days, he talks to the head coaches. The offensive line coaches, members of the staff, are in contact with him every day. August 21st is his day he's announcing. And why that day is important to him, that's a 5th anniversary of his family coming to the United States.
Jerry, A&M just not involved, or not as involved as they'd like to be, or what?
They're involved. But Joe Hamilton was his guy in recruiting for A&M.
And when he's the guy that moved to Florida.
Yeah, he moved back to Florida. I think there's a couple people close to him. I'm not saying immediate family members that may be pushing A&M a little bit. But I still think Oklahoma or Texas right now is where this decision's ultimately going to come from. And it's recruiting. We'll see what happens right on August 21st, 8 days away. But he likes both schools. I do know he's talked to Khalil Lockett since Lockett committed to Texas, I believe. So, but we'll see what happens. I think, look, Oklahoma, I think selling, just come in here and compete for that starting job as a freshman. Their depth chart's a little maybe more clear than Texas is in that regard. Now, I think people at Louisville think, hey, you're a young football, you're 17. You're not even going to be 18 when you early enroll at a college in January. And this is only your 4th year playing football. A redshirt year and really getting yourself prepared is a really good plan for a young offensive tackle age-wise that doesn't have years and years of football experience. I'm not sure Michael's there with that thinking necessarily, but so we'll see what happens. I think, look, I think the feeling around the Louisville program too is, he can't really go wrong. Bill Biedenball, Kyle Flood, both really good offensive line coaches, great developers, great resumes. So we'll see what he does here in 8 days. And by the way, last night I was at Dallas Skyline for practice. I think we got a cool picture of this, Blake. So this is Christian Scott, secondary coach, Dallas Skyline, Elijah Barnes, Peter Jenkins, linebackers coach at Dallas Skyline. So two lifetime Longhorns there, plus Elijah Barnes, Bo Barnes. Elijah Barnes weighed in at 239 pounds prior to the practice last night. And they practiced last night about 6:30 after the heat temperature level on the field went down. But that was a pretty cool photo. Christian Scott, Peter Jenkins. We're going to try to get those guys on the show this year to talk about their time at Texas, and Elijah Barnes, especially Peter Jenkins coaching him throughout high school. But Elijah Barnes, 6'2", 3/4, 6'2 and a half, 6'2 and 3/4, 239 pounds. Looks great playing Mike linebacker. He'll also probably get 10, 12, 15 snaps a game on offense at running back, maybe split out a little bit from time to time for Dallas Skyline this year. But these are 3 Longhorns. Elijah Barnes is he's going to be a great ambassador for the University of Texas football program.
How did he look yesterday, in your opinion, Jerry? Did he run well?
Yeah, I saw him at the district track meet when he ran that 10.96 at 230 pounds. He looks just as athletic at 9, 10 pounds heavier. He has not lost anything. I really envision him being 6'3", close 6'3", 250 pounds.
Wow.
And running in the 4.6 range, right? I mean, so he is going to be a big athlete that can play Mike linebacker. You can also move him around on the defense, play him off the edge at times as a pass rusher. And look, somebody over there at Skyline yesterday brought up the name Rolando McClain. And they're not saying he's going to be as good as Bobby, but just as a prospect. It's up to all these guys to go maximize it and go realize and live their dreams. But he's a very talented kid with a frame to carry 250 pounds pretty well.
I like that. Peter Jenkins was number 19, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, we mentioned him yesterday. So there's good stuff happening up there. Blake, will you do us a favor and tell us who we're sponsored by this morning, bud?
That's right, and that's Factor, guys. Football season is here, but it's still a sweltering hot summer right now. Fuel up for it with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. If you've been on the fence about eating better and making healthier lifestyle choices, then make today the day that you kickstart a healthy routine. Over the past month or so, I've been trying to really take that head on and eat better so I can feel better. Factor has helped me do just that, and they can help you too. You can choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or just simply eat well balanced. And with 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Just head over to factormeals.com/Texas50, use promo code Texas50, and they're going to give you 50% off your first box plus 20% off next month. That's code Texas50 at factormeals.com/Texas50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
Hey, I want to bring up something.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. You keep clicking.
I didn't click that one.
Okay. Bennis Lego. Flood wants turn time 26 morning Fasusi to Pierce. Somebody DM me and asked me about that. That's just not the case, man. I mean, look, you don't. This isn't the Matt Brown days of telling Andrew Luck to kick rocks because of Garrett Gilbert. That's not Sark, and that's not this staff, man. Texas wants Michael Fasusi.
Well, guys, it looks like our special guest is here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in, former Texas defensive back, now current Pittsburgh Steeler, Ryan Watts. Ryan, how's it going this morning?
Good. How you guys doing?
Hook 'em, Brian. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
How is training camp going for you so far?
Man, it's been good. It's been surreal, really. Since I got drafted here, I've been hearing that they said I got drafted to like the hardest training teams in the league, and I've definitely been seeing that. So I feel like Texas prepared me for it because I thought going from college to the league it'd be a little bit easier like training wise, but now we definitely getting a lot of work over here. So I feel like I've been blessed to be here. I got some good vets, man. So it's been surreal being around the guys that I am.
I've got to tell you, Ryan. We went to Pro Day. You worked out at Pro Day. You were the only DB working out at Pro Day, by the way.
Oh,
and they put you through the paces, man. You were tired. You were worn out. But I think your performance in that Pro Day, like rarely do Pro Days actually help guys. They kind of just cement thoughts of pro scouts. I thought you performed so well and so admirably at Pro Day that actually raised your stock. Was that? It had to be what you were hoping for when that day arrived.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And then I already knew I was gonna be the only DB, so I already knew how it was gonna be. So just being to mentally prepare myself for that. But I feel like I did really good in the Pro Day. I didn't drop many balls. I was going. My pace was great. I showed a lot of conditioning because I had to be well conditioned for that. I was just going over and over again. So I feel like I really helped myself through that Pro Day too.
Yeah, there was nobody there to take a spot in line for you. Like Tawari Sweat and Byron Murphy, they did their drills. They could go, one guy starts, the next one go. I mean, You're the only one. So tell us about the Steelers and what they've got you working out at and what you're trying to do right now for them.
So they drafted me. They knew my background at corner, but they wanted to work me at safety too, so I can go ahead and learn that because I feel like I could be a piece in this defense to be able to work multiple places. So corner, nickel, big nickel, and safety. So recently I've been working safety, just being able to learn it, just being able to learn the plays and just the adjustment, different angles, and how you got to fit in the run gaps and run scheme. So just being able to work the safety position right now.
So you have about 3 interceptions in fall camp. Is that about accurate? Is that what I read the other day, man?
Yeah.
So I've
boy,
talks about high school to college speed of the game.
Wait, you said that again? Yeah, broke up.
Everybody talks about high school to college speed of the game difference.
Mm-hmm.
Is there that same difference from college to pro for you?
I mean, I say I don't really think so. I feel like I feel like the game, I feel like it slows down for you the more you understand it. So just at first it was kind of fast, but once I started getting the hang of like the plays, because at first being at safety, just learning a whole bunch of new plays and schemes, just always thinking. So it went by fast, but as soon as I got that down, I feel like the game slowed down a lot more for me. It's not like somebody's like crazy. It's like people are just crazy athletic, and like that's the big difference. It's just like being in position and like getting out of that phase of like, oh my gosh, I'm here. So just being to get comfortable, and I feel like the speed is really the same for real. Well, not for every team though, because some people, but definitely at Texas, we had a lot of speed there, so like it translates.
Ryan, you're working at safety. You've been you played cornerback at Texas. How's that transition been? Has it just been all about learning the new scheme, et cetera, or has there been more nuances than that?
Oh yeah, just really learning new schemes, learning how to fit in the run gaps. I didn't have to do that much at corner, so really learning how to fit in the run gaps and just adjusting the pullers and all. So, and then just being more communicating a lot more. Because I say you got to communicate a lot more. I had to change my mouthpiece and all. I used to always wear a pacifier, but I learned quickly that I'm gonna need a regular mouthpiece so I could just talk all the time. So just being able to have that change, just communicating a lot more, fitting in the run gaps. And you said what?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do they have you working on special teams as well?
Oh yeah, special teams as well too. The new kickoff rules. So about kickoff return, gunner, and pump block too. So really all
good stuff, Ryan. Congratulations to you, man.
Thank you.
Sounds like you've been out. I remember when you transferred to Texas, announced your transfer. You came on Texas Football and talked about it with us, and we appreciated you back then. And we just thank you so much, bud, for everything you've done for the Longhorns, and wish you nothing but the best of luck up in Pittsburgh. And keep going hard, man. Keep going hard. Everybody's rooting for you, dude.
I appreciate y'all, man. It's been us, but nothing but support from you guys. So I appreciate y'all for real.
Hey, Ryan, before you get out of here, we got to ask one thing. What are your thoughts on the new NFL kickoffs?
Oh, it's definitely different. So some guys at first, when we first installed it, some dudes would it's like a habit. Like when somebody kicks the ball, you just automatically run before the ball even lands. So that was definitely different. And it's definitely a lot faster too. I feel like there's gonna be a lot more explosive plays this year from the new kickoff rule. So I'm definitely excited for it.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and good luck on your rookie season in the NFL.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. Hook 'em.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan. Kick butt, dude.
All right.
Man, it's so good to hear from those guys. I know he's busy and got other stuff going on, and spend some time when he's trying to make a team like that with us and with you guys here on Texas Football. We appreciate him very, very much.
Hey, there's been some Terrell Austin has said some really good things about Ryan Watts in the last 48 hours around that Pittsburgh media. He's having a really good fall camp for the Steelers. Really good. 3 interceptions, playing well.
Make the team, dude. Make the team, and you'll find your way. That's what it's all about with those guys right now. Same with Jordan Whittington. Lower round draft picks. Find a way to make the team. That's all you can try to do.
All right.
I wish him nothing but the best of luck, man.
Well, guys, we've talked about a lot this morning. We, obviously just had Ryan on as well. But one thing that we really haven't touched on too much is Sark had a press conference yesterday, met with the media. Obviously, the Christian Clark news was the big news of yesterday. But what were y'all's main takeaways from that?
Sark really said he liked the speed of practice yesterday. That was a major takeaway for me. And I think what he meant by that, and CJ and I talked about this afterwards because we were both in attendance of that. Sark they're in the second week or the second and a half week. So after this week and the final scrimmage is when they start prep for Colorado State. So they really start game prep this time next week, right? And so these are the dog days of summer a little bit. They're 10 days in, 11 days in to fall camp. It starts to get monotonous. You want to really play more and scrimmage more. And, players take their eye off the ball a little bit at times and have. And I think Sark yesterday was like, look, I like the intent that we practiced with yesterday. I like where we went. Yes, he did not say anything went wrong with Christian Clark. He did not mention any kind of injury or stuff. He did talk about the need to put more people at running back and test more people there. I think that was a little bit of a tell to those of us in the media that were unaware at the time he was speaking about Christian Clark's injury. But other than that, I mean, I feel like that was it. He talked a little bit about cornerback and the defensive line and his defense being more opportunistic. I had written an article yesterday about this, about the Texas defense needing to be more opportunistic, and I thought they were going to be. He echoed that again last night and said the defense was opportunistic again last night. He thinks he's going to have a good defense. He says he's growing in confidence right now along the defensive front as well. And then Manny Muhammad at cornerback. He did not mention one guy he did not mention at corner that kind of stood out to me. He did not mention Javion Cole. So I don't know that Javion Cole, the transfer, is going to make a move this fall in this fall camp as much as Warren Roberson or Gavin Holmes or either Jahdae Barron or Jalen Gilbo rotating out at corner as well. Sark did mention Jalen Gilbo working at corner, which is interesting to me.
All right. Well, before we move on, and we got a lot of questions starting to roll in, plenty of time to get your questions in. But first, Jerry, can you tell folks out there about Manscaped?
What's Manscaped? Never heard of it. I'm going to give this a try. This is going to be my first time ever. What this beard and balls bundle? What's this? Fellas, do you want your grooming routine to be a one and done deal? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private parts are over thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Our very good friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 6, introducing the Beard and Balls Bundle, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger, a trimmer for the moneymaker and another for those boys downstairs. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code ONTEXAS, all caps, at manscaped.com. Again, 20% off plus free shipping with the code ONTEXAS, all caps, manscaped.com for the premium grooming experience. You got to trust Manscaped. I do. I know a lot of you guys do. 18 days away. Don't be that guy. Don't be all chafed up in the stands at DKR August 31st. First, it's the Beard and Balls Bundle. Manscaped, ONTEXAS, all caps.
Thank you, as always.
Hey, we've got another commercial that's actually not a commercial that is paid for or anything like that. But when guys do well for themselves and their Texas Longhorns, we like to showcase it. This is Quinn Ewer's latest commercial. He actually signed a deal with a company called Roback, a shirt apparel company. They sent us this commercial. We want you guys to check it out. Make sure the volume's up on this, Blake, if you will.
Get more comfortable means that you've been in the program longer. Being in year 3, it's fun to see how everybody's changed, including me, and how we've all matured. We have a motto that we're using this year, and it's just one day at a time. We take pride in how hard we work and how hard we practice. I can't even count how many times I've been through the same installs. So just trying to find the little things, understand what we're all capable of, and I think my goal is just continue to play my game. And I'm just going to try to stick to that motto one day at a time.
All right, good stuff there. Quinn has a gear line out now with Roback.
I gotta say, the where that took place has got to hurt the Southlake fans, Westlake High.
Did it really? Was that at Westlake?
Yeah, that's got to hurt the Southlake fans a little bit. Sorry about that, Southlake fans.
Hey, well, good for Quinn. Good for Quinn. activating around his NIL opportunities. Blake, let's get to some questions and talk to some folks and see what we have to say. I'm sure there's a lot of questions right now around Christian Clark, his injury, as well as what the Longhorns are going to do about it.
That's right. We're actually going to start with a super chat, guys, from Slick Rick. Thank you, Slick Rick. He says, does Sark have these kids too juiced up for the SEC? This may sound crazy, but are they practicing too hard? We don't need any more injuries.
Yeah, that was last night was, I mean, yesterday was a non-contact injury, guys, on a awkward, he just landed wrong. I mean, that's not practicing too hard. That's literally just crappy luck on the kid's part. Now, is he too bulked up and all that other stuff? I mean, he was bulky when he got to Texas. So it wasn't anything that happened at Texas in the last 6 months. It's just crappy luck. I mean, that's the reality of it. I don't think it has anything to do with being too ready or too geared up for the SEC. Now, Texas does work their kids hard. There's no doubt about that. They don't really play around as it relates to that. But I think that could be said for any really great program or a program that's genuinely trying to be great right now.
And our next question comes from Mitchell W. And he says, good morning. During the scrimmage, were the coaches on the field or did they just let the Longhorns play ball without the coaches' help?
I was told that one coach was on the field at times, and that was Steve Sarkisian behind the offense. So primarily the coaches were off the field. So imagine what it was like in the spring game. That's kind of what I was told how the scrimmage ran for the majority of the time on Saturday.
And then we got a couple of questions regarding strength and conditioning, obviously, with the injuries happening. This first one here says, our running backs are made of peanut brittle. What's going on with strength and conditioning on the 40 acres? And then I'm going to add this one in because it ties in from Kel. And he says, when do we start to question the strength and conditioning? We've had 3 running backs go down in the last 2 to 3 years.
I mean, Jerry, do you have anything on this? I mean, I just don't see the connection. One of them's a non-contact injury has zero to do with strength and conditioning. Well,
I mean, look, if you go through the injuries, Christian Clark, non-contact, Cedric Baxter, contact. I'll leave it at that. Jonathan Brooks was a contact injury in a game. I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes you just have some bad luck roll through. And it seems to hit in numbers at positions a lot of times.
It does.
And it's just been, I think the Cedric Baxter one was really rough, I think, from what we know, just because of how it happened. Jonathan Brooks in the course of a game, and Christian Clark. The problem with athletes nowadays, and I'm not going on a diatribe or anything, is look, we've gotten to a point in athletics, whether that's girls athletics who have a higher ACL tear rate and men's athletics, is we are getting so big, strong, and fast that the quads, everything is so strong in these young athletes' bodies that we're pushing the boundaries on ACLs a little bit because the kids are so big, strong, and fast at a young age right now. Those quads are so strong that you're going to continue to see more ACL injuries. I don't think it's a strength and conditioning problem. It's just the nature of athletics as a whole. I mean, I'm kind of going through it with someone close to me on the girls' side. It's a D1 athlete that tore ACL in hardwood volleyball. It's just you're so quad strong and you put so much pressure through that strength on your knee ligaments that I just think it's where athletics are right now. I'm interested to see, what could really be done about that, but I don't think there's anything. I just think that's where we're at in athletics.
I think it just sucks. Injuries suck in general. That's my point. And obviously Torrey Beckton has done a great job with this team. Look, they didn't how many times does a single team have 5 offensive linemen that are healthy the entire year? I mean, that was of anything that's been done that is a testament to the University of Texas strength and conditioning program. It is that. Yeah. So I'm not concerned about that aspect of it. I know some people want to look for pick nits or whatever. That one's not worth picking.
And then we have a super. That's a funny comment, AJJ. We have a super chat here from Jeff Carey. It says, Jerry, welcome to Louisville. Go Big John, fighting farmers.
Hey, look, for the Louisville fans, if you're going to games this year, that 2027 class is really good. I just watch a bunch of those kids at Louisville. They have a undersized, because he's a sophomore linebacker, kid named Devin Robinson that's got football intelligence for days. May remind me a little of Torian York at a younger age at Temple. So watch out for that kid if his frame gets to where he can carry 220 down the line, because, man, does he move like a football player at a young age. They got good DBs. They got a lot of good skill. Louisville's got some really good players. They have a couple of 2028 freshman offensive linemen that may end up playing up this year. So Louisville's that staff's doing a really good job there. Number of ex-college players on that staff. And they got some good young players at Louisville High. Now, they're going to be a little young early in the season, and they start off the season against Fasusi. We were talking about that. They start off they scrimmage Saxey next week, by the way. So that'll be Khalil Lockett in his squad at Saxey. But they start the season against Mansfield Summit, I can tell you one thing about Mansfield Summit. Year in, year out, they have 1 or 2 Division I D linemen who are disruptive players that play in your backfield. So Mansfield Summit's one of those teams that people don't talk about in DFW that's pretty good. But so Louisville's young kids are going to get tested right off the bat. But by district time, I think those young kids will be ready to roll.
Good stuff. All right, Jose says, Jerry and Bobby, I know injuries are part of the game, but, man, we are snake bitten at running back. Do you think Sark changes his philosophy and practice any?
Man, I don't think he changes his philosophy. I think he may change a little. I mean, he changed play calls on Saturday's scrimmage. He didn't really run Blue and Wisner inside at all during Saturday's scrimmage. So he's already changing, and now I think he may be forced to do it again. I don't know what exactly he's going to do, but look, he adapts. I always say this. Sark is stubborn, but he's not hard-headed. Like, he knows the right way to do things, so he's going to be stubborn. But when it gets to the part about being hard-headed and, like, being dumb about it, he relents. And so I think he'll do some things, but maybe not as much as other people would. Like, I think that there's a little happy median that he can get to without going and not having these guys ready to be tackled, for example. I mean, you can't have Jaden Blue go out there and not ready to run inside because, frankly, ball security is going to be a big deal for those guys running inside. Him and Wisner both, Jerry. If they're your 2 starter or your 2 lead guys, that's got to be a priority. Same with Jarrett Gibson. He's got to run them because you can't go out there against Colorado State and lose, fumble the ball 4 times.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, I just think the reality is, and it's going to be interesting because we didn't even see what Sark's original plan was offensively this year. I think he's already shifting it a little bit. They're going to try to be as close to the same as they were prior Baxter's injury, but there is going to be some small adaptation to what the original plan was the offseason.
And, guys, we've had obviously we're getting a lot of questions about Clark, and we've had about 2,000 people join since we first started, and we talked about Clark. So I want to go back to that for a minute. Green Valley 6 says, just checking in. What's the deal on Clark? How bad? How long?
I'm going to just relay what I was told. I'm not, I was told that he suffered a non-contact injury yesterday while trying to go up and catch a pass, landed awkwardly. was unable to get off the field on his own volition. And based on what I was told yesterday evening or late afternoon, evening, it is expected to be season ending at this point. Now, it's not final, but it's headed that way, apparently. And that comes from multiple people, including some close to Christian themselves. So that's where the situation is. That puts Texas at 3 scholarship running backs right now. Obviously, Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner, as well as true freshman Jarrett Gibson. What we've been talking about here this morning a lot is that's that big back. Another big back along with Cedric Baxter goes down. That leaves just Jarrett Gibson among that group. And so what's Texas going to do as it relates to that? We've talked about Texas moving Ryan Niblett to running back, but really he's only 180 pounds, Jerry. He's not a big back. Could they move maybe a Anthony Smith? Could they utilize Juan Davis more in that 2-back role, given that Juan is more familiar with the offense maybe? I think that could be a good piece of the puzzle. Darian Gillette has already moved over some. This would seem to cement this move, you would think, given they need a big back. And then possibly they're going to look at other guys. I mean, is Anthony Smith or Kobe Black, somebody that's a little bit bigger that can maybe carry a little bit of a load? They don't need somebody to carry the ball 20 times a game here. They need somebody to take 3 to 5 carries off of Jarrett Gibson in the big back role a game right now.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking, is replace that 3 to 5 carries that Christian Clark probably was going to give Jarrett Gibson in games. So, who that might be. The best on Texas's roster is probably Anthony Hill, but you really going to do that? You can't take you need a star linebacker. You can't do that for a backup role, by the way. Backup role. So, but he's a stud. CJ, do you have that pulled up by chance, Blake? If y'all want to see a good running back in the red zone, CJ Vogel posted some clips this morning of Anthony Hill on the goal line, just I think as a tease a little bit, but he could be a help in that regard for Texas, in my opinion. They played Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat down there, but those guys weren't ball carriers. It's a different ask for those guys in that scenario. Blake, do you have that, or you want to get to that later?
I got it.
Here he is. That's Anthony Hill as a high schooler.
You know who wants to see Anthony Hill play running back? Every team on Texas' schedule in the SEC. Because what they want to do, because what all those SEC teams want to do is make fun of Texas if he gets hurt playing running back and he's one of the top handful of linebackers in the country.
You're not going to get me saying no. I think that, look, you may have to go to something quirky in special situations. Like I could see him carrying the ball 5 times in a year, just not 50. That's, you know what I mean? Like you can do that. I also think that now's not the time. Now would be an inopportune time to move a guy that is still learning the middle linebacker position. It's just, you don't want to add more to Anthony Hill's plate right now. That would be the real issue for me, I think. Maybe later in the year when he's got middle linebacker down, got 7-8 games in him, then he could come in as goal line. Right now, you want him hyper-focused on what he does.
Hey, Bobby, can you tell folks out there about Mint Mobile before we move on?
Yeah, absolutely. Friends, don't let friends overpay for wireless service. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plan and switch to our friends over at Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. With a kid going away to college, it's something my family took advantage of, this offer. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/OnTexas. That's mintmobile.com/OnTexas. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/OnTexas. $45 upfront payment is required if that's equivalent to the $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Again, mintmobile.com/OnTexas.
Thank you, sir. And we got some more super chats that we're going to jump into. This first one here from Dante. Thank you, Dante. How is Javion Cole doing? Do you think he will be starting?
I mentioned this earlier in the show. Sark went and talked about DBs for about 2 minutes yesterday, in particular cornerbacks, because he was asked a specific question in the presser. He did not mention Javion Cole's name, which I thought was interesting because Sark's pretty thorough guy in his pressers, I would say, for sure. And Cole's absence maybe told me a little something. If I think it did. Look, he said Manny Muhammad's the best corner, and then you have guys like Jalen Gilbo and Jahdae Barron both working at corner. He said that Gavin Holmes right now is, quote, giving the best version of himself that we've seen. So he really seemed to be telling us Gavin Holmes came to play this year, which Texas needed, by the way. They need a long corner that can run. Gavin Holmes is a long corner that can run. That will play well if you're going to run single high coverage, okay, which Texas is toying with this year a little bit. Okay, and then also he mentioned Kobe Black coming back a little bit and reshaping his body this offseason after he initially showed up on campus, a little different than what maybe you would want from a cornerback. So those are the guys he mentioned. I've also heard that Warren Roberson did well in Saturday's scrimmage. So add those guys up. Javion Cole has not been mentioned predominantly at corner. He's still been running third team. I don't think that's changed this week.
Forgot I was muted there for a second. Okay, we got a couple of other super chats. This one from Jay Lee. Thank you, Jay. He says, too bad Michael Terry as a running back isn't on this roster.
Jerry, you want to take that one?
I mean, look, Michael Terry, we'll see what he plays at the next level. I think wide receiver is what he wants his first shot at. And then if that happens, that happens. If not, wherever he goes, we'll figure that out. I think Texas is in a pretty good spot there. I think Nebraska is the number 2 team. I think they really like Oregon, but it's far away from home. There is one person outside the immediate family tree that's trying to push Nebraska a little bit from what I hear, but I'm not sure it'll have a major impact. Where Michael Terry plays in college will be interesting. I mean, I think wide receiver is what he has his eyes on. But again, we'll see what happens with the school he chooses and how that frame develops, because 6'2.5", closing in on 6'3", 215, 218 with that long limb frame, it's going to be hard to keep that guy under 235 pounds long term.
Hey, Jerry, this is a good topic because a lot of people say, why not Ryan Wingo? Why not move Ryan Wingo to running back? He's a big guy. He's not as big as a Michael Terry. Like Michael Terry's a much thicker player. Ryan Wingo is well put together, but he's not a running back size guy.
Yeah.
So that's just not going to happen either.
I think the last player Sark's moving the running back is Ryan Wingo.
Yeah. Arch Manning, that would be that. I think I got you on that. He's not moving Arch to running back either, brother.
Look, Sark would suit up to Shard Choice in disguise before he moves Ryan Wingo to running back.
Oh, man. All right, Matt, with the super chat. Thank you, Matt. He says, guys, no one talks about the main issue with leg injuries. It's the field turf. There is an epidemic in high schools right now because of it.
I 100% agree. Look, people are talking about this in the chat, and I'm not going to get on a soapbox, but I don't know how many people have actually been on this type of sport turf nowadays. One, it's hot as hell. And two, if you just stick your foot in the ground in an athletic move, and I'm not the level athletes I'm covering, there's some interesting dynamics to it with the rubber pellets and the way this stuff is made. And especially as quad strong as athletes are getting nowadays in athletics as a whole, because this sport turf is really good for the high schools, because you can literally have football, soccer, band, everybody can go practice on it, and your field's not torn up. Everything's in really good condition. If it's raining, you're not tearing up a grass field. There's a lot of positives for a high school districts that have this, but I do worry about that super chat right there for the kids. I really do.
So one of these knee injuries happened on sport turf and one of them did not. And the one for Jonathan Brooks last year did not. It is. I agree with you, but look, 2 of the 3 did not occur on sport turf. So I think that it's anecdotal evidence. There may be some empirical evidence as well, but it just when you come down and land awkwardly, it doesn't matter what kind of field you're landing on. I mean, it just doesn't, and it sucks. It sucks for the kid more than anything. I mean, you have a young man, 18 years old, fresh out of high school, trying to make his best, has an apparent shot to make a difference on a football team that just went to the national championship playoffs, and he comes down with a non-contact injury you really can't do anything about. It just out and out sucks.
Okay, y'all, let's jump to some more questions here, and let's do some team-related ones. And let's start with this one from Brendan. He says, is Kobe Black making a push to get playing time at corner?
I don't know that he's making a push per se, as in he's keeping himself in the conversation. Like I get the sense that right now the top 2 corners are Gavin Holmes and Manny Muhammad, not in that order, but Manny and then Gavin. And then they're going to play Jade and Jalen Gilbo and rotate them in certain situations at corner. And then after that, I think it's Warren Roberson is next, and then Kobe Black. So is he I think he's keeping himself in the conversation ahead of Javion Cole right now, but not over the top of somebody where he's actually going to be, quote, pushing for major playing time. I think we'll see him play this year, some corner, but I don't know about going over the top with that, where he's pushing for real playing time right now.
And then Cisco Diaz asked, thoughts on using a defensive player or a tight end as a fullback and running out of the I formation?
You're not going to see Sark do that. But I look, the problem is with all the things that we're discussing is you start giving away plays. You start giving away what's coming. If Juan Davis is at running back, I mean, it's a giveaway. So that's the last thing Sark ideally wants to do. Doesn't mean you don't make some tweaks here and there. But Sark is, look, he wants to score points. He wants to have big plays. And he's going to do his absolute best to maximize what this team can do offensively. And tipping plays is not one of them.
All right. And then Mark Valdez, interesting question. Is Quinn too relaxed? Do we need a dog at quarterback, someone who talks like a pissed off dad?
Did you read that like a pissed off dad on purpose? Blake, by chance? No, I think Quinn, being a quarterback takes all kinds, man. It's just like life. I mean, there are guys that are soft spoken, relaxed. There are guys that are go getters and alphas, etc. Quinn certainly has his own way. I think that underneath it all, that kind of calm exterior, Quinn's a pretty competitive person, guys. I think the idea that he's just relaxed is kind of what he was taught and how he was raised. I don't think that it tells you his inner motivation. So I think a lot of people see the outside and think that the inside necessarily matches. That's not the case with a lot of these guys. That's my opinion. Quinn just rolls Wooderson style. There you go. That's a good one for Bobby Petronic.
Oh man. Okay, our next question, fellas, comes from Longhorns, and he says, "You think we'll see Sark go more up tempo, air raid style?" I assume he's talking about after the loss of 2 running backs.
I'm not sure air raid, but I do think a little more, and it may be twofold depending on what happens. Is maybe a little less of the play action passing game. We'll see. And a lot of that depends on the next couple of weeks. It's always going to be a staple, but how big of a staple? So I think the one thing about recruiting all this speed, and Sark's done a tremendous job of recruiting a lot of speed on the offensive side, and that goes all the way to Nyblack as a tight end that has wide receiver athleticism. You can get the ball in the guy's hands quicker and allow them to go make plays if you think some of your play action down the field has been negatively impacted in fall camp. And the way he sets that up.
And then let's take a couple of recruiting questions now. Grady Jenkins says, "Are you still feeling confident about Jamie French? And if we get French, how does that affect our chances with Michael Terry?"
Look, I think Miami's just going to make Texas very much earn this, right? As they should. If Miami, whoever that team was in the state of Florida, doesn't make Texas earn this recruiting win, if they win for French, and those guys are not good at their job. I used to joke about that with Cedric Baxter when he took a couple of visits to FSU, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, he's going to flip." I was like, no, but they're going to make Texas earn it, as they should. And I think Miami is going to push this as much as they can. They want to win this recruitment. They're the team that has made the big push of late to challenge Texas. I still think Texas has the best relationships throughout this recruitment with Jamie and his immediate family. And we'll see. At the end of the day, does Jamie want to stay in state for college? Does he want to do something different? We've had a few of those this summer go both ways.
And one other recruiting question for you here, Jerry. This one from Antoine, and he says, "With 5 Samoan players, Countess, Avea, Lafau, Lole, and Baker, do you see us getting more with Coach Nansen?"
Good question. Look, I think I would say this. Texas is going to go find the best football players they can, period. I think Johnny Nansen's West Coast connections are invaluable. I think connections in Hawaii as well. So when I say West Coast, I think a lot of people just think of California, but it's Arizona, it's Las Vegas, and that Las Vegas area, Nevada, it's California, it's Hawaii. So, yeah, I think it's potentially there. But again, Texas is looking for the very best football players they can find, and wherever that takes them is where they're going to go. I think Johnny Nansen's going to continue to have a really big impact in the portal, guys.
He did this past year. He did. I mean, he definitely did this past year with not only Lole, but also Javion Cole, Bill Norton, obviously, as well as Tia Savea.
Yeah,
he signed 4 guys out of the portal for Texas. So Nansen can recruit. And Jerry, here's the other thing that Nansen does for Texas, in my opinion. He expands California. When we talk about California, you and I typically talk about Southern California because that's really the only place Texas has ever had success recruiting. Well, now they're up in Northern California, and they got John Mills. Now, Kyle Flood's been on him forever out of San Francisco, but also Josiah Sharma's from Folsom. That's more Northern California than Southern. So it's expanding the state of California for Texas too.
Well, fellas, we
Yeah.
are 8. Oh, go ahead, Jerry.
I know that. And somebody brought you Johnny Nansen he'll be in there too.
We are 18 days away from kickoff, Bobby, and 25 days away from the first away game at the Big House up there in Michigan. Now you got some stuff brewing up there. Can you tell folks about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So long story short, people have been asking, what are we doing for tailgates this year? We did some stuff last year that was awesome. We are going to be working with a couple different folks for tailgates. One is, first of all, let's talk about regular season. Our friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery are going to do a wine garden right north of DKR across from Bass Concert Hall, if you know that. So please come join us there. We're also going to be at the Surly Horns on Texas football tailgate, which will be up on the LBJ lawn. We did that a year ago. We loved it there. We're doing that again with our friends there. So please join us. As far as the biggest away game of the year, it's going to be at the Big House, obviously, at Michigan. And right now, our friends at Surly Horns have started a big, huge tailgate. I think it's 60 by 60 tent for everybody. It'll include food as well as beverage and televisions for those of us that want to watch a little football after the game as well. Please join them. Blake will put the link of that into the chat as well. So feel free to join us. Last year at Alabama, I think we had over 1,000 people show up to the tailgate because we were the biggest tailgate in Tuscaloosa by far. That's our plans to do it again, to kind of take over a little piece of the Big House on that Saturday. I will say it's expected to be really close to where ESPN's game day setup would be if they go to Texas, Michigan. That's what we're being told. So hopefully you guys can join us up there. I'll be up there covering the Longhorns, having some fun, seeing a top-notch showdown between Texas and Michigan.
All right, we got time for just a couple more questions here before we have to get out of here. And Jerry, I had a question. Now I can't find. Oh, here we go. From Casey. I want to get your input on this real quick. He says, Blake and Jerry, who would you say is the better program of the two, Westlake or Southlake? I'm curious to get your answer on this because I have mine, but I want to know your thoughts, then I'll tell you mine.
Well, I think traditionally it's Southlake. Obviously, Todd Dodge had a run there that was unbelievable. And I think Riley Dodge has done a really good job there. Obviously, you like to clip that state championship. Riley Dodge has run up against the best Westlake teams I've ever seen. And then Duncanville, the best Duncanville teams you'll ever see. So I think Riley's had a tough – he's been at Southlake during a tough time. But I think Southlake traditionally is. Westlake, at the end of that Todd Dodge era, those are the best Westlake – that was the best Westlake team I've seen personally. I mean, they had a lot of really good football players. They were strong quarterback, number of Division I skill players around it. Those Westlake teams were good at the end of Todd Dodge. If you take a look at 25 years of school football in Texas, I mean, it's Southlake.
I've got to say this before y'all go any further, guys. I'm a big believer in Westlake under Drew Brees. That was the actual best Westlake team I saw. They had a number of Division I players at a number of different positions, receiver, running back, DB. I thought that was the best. I thought those were the best Westlake teams. I saw them beat Dominic Rhodes. Now, I will say this. I think the best Southlake teams could have beaten that Westlake team. So we'll see. Hard to beat, though, a guy like Drew Brees, man. That's a great quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you. Historically, I got Southlake. Recently, Westlake for sure. Jerry's Jack Links with a super chat. And thank you, Jerry's Jack Links, as always. That's a mouthful. If there was ever a time to show a recruit why they should not shy away from a deep position group room.
Yeah, like Jordan Davison. I agree with him 100%. You're always one play away. That's why it cracks me up. I understand 2 quarterbacks not going in the same class. You're just not going to get that anymore, especially now with NIL being so large. You're not going to sign 2 quality quarterbacks in the same class. But other positions, I don't get it, because you are always just one play away. And football, by its very nature, is a physical sport. Injuries happen. I mean, that's just the way it is. I agree with Jerry's Jack Links on this one. You can't sit there and live your life trying to figure out who's going to be injured or not injured, what's going to be the easiest path for me. You're either going to make it or you're not. And it's very little will have to depend on who's in front of you on a roster. It will be dependent upon how good you are. Just ask Jonathan Brooks. Just ask Jonathan Brooks. He's behind not only Bijan, but Roschon Johnson, yet has 1 year where he proves who he is, and he's the first running back taken.
All right, y'all. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football. We want to thank Manscaped, Mint Mobile, and Factor all for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, anything folks should be aware of that's coming down the pipe later today?
Yeah, we got a receivers thing that we're going to talk about, because now it's all changing up right now, I think, with the Longhorns and receiver. And I say changing up, but also solidifying. We're going to talk about that. Recruiting breakdown. Jerry's on the road, as you can see. Right now, he's at Louisville this morning, Dallas Skyline last night. There are a bunch of different decisions upcoming. And then we finished the evening with the live stream. Myself, Rod Babers, as well as Aaron Hogan, will be on talking what happened at practice. Then Steve Sarkisian says that they're going to send players to us after practice. Practice starts at 7:00 tonight, so we won't be able to hear from players until about 9. Also, we have updates and news and notes all day long on TexasFootball.com. Please join the community and the conversation. We love hearing from you guys throughout the day.
We will be back same time, same place tomorrow morning, obviously, with another special guest. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And for Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Bird, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hook 'em.